Hello and welcome to Art Express. I'm Margarita Krivitsky and this is your beginner drawing class. Today we're going to talk about sketching, drawing, structuring, face. We've done with you full frontal and we talked about structure of the face. Some of you tried to even do the shading, and this is another story. I think we need to learn how to structure that scaffold and then continue with dark and light, which is also important, but most importantly, we need to understand the structure. I'm just here in my studio next to my work, and this is not, of course, what you want to do, not what you envisaging in your art. It's my vision, and I encourage everyone who I'm teaching to build up their own vision, their own style. I'm just referring to my work in terms of the face structure. This is stylized and simplified, but this is my vision of the face in this particular theme. I used to work a lot on the theme of Alice in Wonderland. And this is one of the images. This is full frontal face. As you can see, I can draw the line of symmetry, and this is perfect example of full frontal face. The horse, though, is in profile. Let's move on, because today we're going to learn about profile. How do we draw profile? But we cannot learn about profile without understanding of this, of full frontal with the center line. This is very important, because when I turn my face, everything we learned about full frontal will continue on this side. How do we translate it to the profile? We're going to learn today. All right, let's just refresh our formulas from before. With the full frontal, we're trying to create the shape of an egg, because the head resembles the shape of an egg. It's very broad here through the skull. It's always wider part of an egg here at the top. We've got center line because the image is full frontal, correct? We need the center line, very important. And then we're going to divide the whole space into three parts: forehead, nose, and whatever is under the nose, the chin. So from the point where my hair starts growing, actually, or his hair is supposed to be growing, from that point to the eyes or eyebrows, sort of, 1. To the bottom of the nose, 2. And to the end of the chin, 3. We've got 3 equal or almost equal parts. Very important. That is my bottom of the nose. That is my bottom of the pyramid, which sort of symbolizes the structure of the nose. Eyebrows here. Hair supposed to be growing from here. Lips somewhere here. Please make sure you're noticing that that space from the bottom of the nose to the lips is less than the one under the lips. The whole chin is here, the bottom structure of the skull. So if this is my lips, that is less than this. I'll just do the mouth very quickly. The eyes, we need enough room for the eyelids, correct? So if this is my eyebrows, remember the space between two eyes is one eye. So this is the same as that, as my eyes, actually. If this is my eye, that space. Crucial ingredient. Please don't make it too narrow or too wide, even though we will look at various characteristics of different nationalities, different types of the faces, and sometimes it's a little bit more, a little bit less, but it's all very, very minimal differences. Overall, it's the size of one eye, and if I'm going from outside of the nostrils up, up, I'm hitting the inner corners of the eyes. Very important positioning of the ears. And we're going to start from the front of the face, and then we'll work on the side, because with the side it's harder. I'm going from the eyebrows across, and I'm going from the bottom of the nose across. And guess what? I'm hitting the top and the bottom of the ear. They could be bigger, smaller, sticking in, sticking out, doesn't matter. But overall, this is the formula. Bottom of the nose connected to the bottom of the ear. Eyebrows, you continue, you're getting A, B, C, D. That's the formula. We shall remember about the neck, which is cylinder, and we shall remember always to add beginning of the bust, beginning of the shoulders when we're doing face. We're never doing isolated mask. Also, if this is my face, basically it's a head, I need to add here, because the ear is not sticking out too much. The hair adding a bulk over the skull. So to complete the sketch, I'm just adding some hair. I'm not going any further because it's too much information for now. Today's lesson is about profile. So let's look at the profile next to the front of the face. I'm going to structure that profile very quickly. This is Florentine artist, and it's absolutely perfect, clean and glorious profile. I love it very much. Even though there is no drastic light and shadow, you can still read the skull underneath. And proportionally, it's so perfect and beautiful. So I'm just going to structure it. Again, I'm imagining the skull inside of the head, the same as we did here. Why are we looking at the skull? Because you cannot do this well without understanding of proportions of the skull. Can you notice how wide the distance it is from the front to the back of the skull? It's actually massive. And if you compare it with the height of the skull, you almost get the same distance. Where is my pencil? For example, what I'm trying to say, this is my skull. Overall, this and that are the same. I can actually fit it into the square. Very, very important. So when we're sketching profile, one rule to remember, one of the most important rules, don't cut off the skull at the back. Please don't do it. And everyone who starts working with a portrait in profile, constantly repeating that mistake, and I have to reinforce it. Notice how big that bone is. Your whole brain is sitting inside. It's the very large bone, and this is heavy. So the width is the same as the height overall. The fact that we are learning profile today doesn't cancel the practice of the full frontal. We did it once, we had a class on that, and I really asked you to practice either from the image I gave you, which you can download, or you can use any photo of your family member, anyone really, good photo of full frontal, and sketch from it. It's a matter of coming back to it. It's a matter of coming back to your practice. It's very hard to learn how to draw the face if you're just doing it once. It's all about repetition and getting those formulas settled down and absorbed in your mind, in your brain, so it comes easier. And when you see another model, you are not focusing on the formulas of the structure, on the distance between the eyes, on the distance you know, on the positioning of the ears and levels of the ears. It just comes automatically. You know all that because you did practice, and you can focus on the most beautiful thing, on the character of the person, on the particular interesting features, on the psychology. This is like really fascinating and the most challenging and the most beautiful part of the painting or drawing the portrait. And what we are doing here in Art Express, we are doing guided practice to reinforce the skills, to reinforce the knowledge. So when you start on your own, you are confident, you know exactly what you're doing. Let's look at the profile, and we're talking about the skull inside. So if I disregard the ear, I can see how the light and shadow are helping me to identify my skull inside. See that shadow underneath? That's my skull, and then it goes this way into that big bone we were talking about. It's just sitting under her bun. And if I'm measuring the height of the head and then the width, I'm getting the square happening. You understand? This is very, very wide. Don't cut off the back of the skull, please. I'm going to keep that fellow here for a little while because I think he is very important for our knowledge and understanding. So I've done this, and then I'm going to draw the lady, the beautiful Florentine lady within that skull. I'm going back to this full frontal. So the rules we are transferring from here to the profile are: number one, we're dividing the face into 3 equal parts. One from the top of the hair where they start growing. Hers are very high. I'm not sure what is happening here, but basically it's somewhere here. So that will be 1 from here. Then we're dropping it from here to the eyes. 2. Let's say we're just dividing into 3 parts, which is 1, 2, bottom of the nose, 3. We've got 1, 2, and 3 to the end of the chin. I don't care about cleanliness, I don't care about likelihood of that particular face. It's all about structure. Once we get structure right, we can focus on the character. From here, I'm going to start going with particular directions. See that forehead, it's quite straight, beautifully straight. This is here we are. This is the front. I'm coming here. From here in, very tiny dip, and my nose is protruding forward. Probably a bit low, but doesn't matter. Lips in, the chin. How do I find position for the tip of the nose, the tip of the chin, and this? This is very important. We have the center line connecting those points. So this center line, which is here through the middle, if I turn it around into the profile, it will curl from the top of the forehead to the tip of the nose, basically better here. From here, I'm continuing, I'm touching the tip of the nose, I'm touching the chin. This is my center line. This is that important line, which in profile becomes this. Whenever we're starting with profile, we need to deliver that line, and from that line, we are going into the actual profile. Skull, neck. Here we are. Let's just mention the hair, and let's find, fascinatingly, position of the ears in the profile. So as we specified here, the lines between A to B and C to D, they're crossing, and one of the top one goes through the eyebrows, and the bottom one comes through the bottom of the nose. I'm translating it into my profile. If my eyebrow is here, she's got that surprised expression actually on her face. And the bottom of the nose is here. I'm continuing with the lines across, same as here, and I'm going to hit my A to D here. She might have very little ears or bigger, it doesn't matter. We're just dealing with the structure. Okay. Doing the same thing from the eyebrow, I'm going across, bottom of the nose, across. Here we are. D. We're going to try and memorize those little formulas. Now, there are a few more very important formulas which weren't even discovered by me at all. I'm just repeating things I know to you. But someone called Leonardo da Vinci, we all know about him. He was amazing anatomist, genius of knowledge of human body. Till now, everybody in art world, people who want to learn about figure, copying his sketches and looking at his anatomy sketches. And now let's look at the eye, because position of the eye is so crucial and important, and it's not so hard when you have those formulas which I'm giving you, or which Leonardo discovered for us many years ago in Renaissance. What's happening here? Of course, it is sitting within the socket. So we were talking, remember, about sunglasses sitting on the middle of the nose here, the aviators. This is our socket. See, I'm sketching here, that socket we were talking about, this. So if we're turning around into the profile, the light will hit the cheekbone, the top of cheekbone here. And then we've got the actual eyebrow sitting on the socket. So what's happening here, we have that the same socket, but in the profile. Something like that, sort of aviators, sort of, if I can just compare it. But to find out position of the eye, let's say we've got it on that level, it's under the eyebrow, yeah? What Leonardo discovered for us, that the front of the eyeball, not the eyelid, the eyeball, if you continue down, it will hit the side of the nostril, the end of the nostril. It's not happening here in this particular one. Number one, her face is just a little bit tipped upwards. Number two, she's got very petite nose. But if we will look at Leonardo's sketches with a male profile, the actual side of the nostril hits the inside of the eyeball. So how amazingly it's all translating from the front. We were talking about positioning of the corners of the eyes here. This is the corners of the eyes. If I go from the side of the nostril, I hit this. If I go from the side of the nostril, I'm supposed to hit the eyeball or the corner of the eye. So this is my corner of the eye in front of the eyeball, and it needs to hit the nostril here. That's the idea. My eyeball is here. Do not forget the eyelids, correct? And the eye will not be as stretched and long as in the full frontal. It's shorter, correct? It's, if I'm looking at you, you've got the whole eye. When I'm turning, it's almost half of it. The eyelids, one above, one underneath, correct? Her eyebrows are quite high, unusually high. But again, you know, there are little points where artist takes his artistic license and pushes it further and exaggerates. So maybe in real life, she had eyebrow a bit low, or she had the eye sitting a little bit further forward. But it's always something else to present the character in full blossom. I'm going to continue sketching down to the lips. I'm not going to overload you with too much information, but we definitely, to complete the sketch a little bit further, we will need to give her some neck. And can you notice how it's got a little bit of an angle? It's not absolutely perfectly straight. It's growing basically from the back of the skull. So if this is my profile, my skull, from here it comes in. I insist that you find out position of the neck, of the spine, vertebrae coming into your skull at the back. It's kind of a dip, yes? So she's got a little bit of the hair bulking on the top, but actual neck is coming into the skull here, and then the skull comes again protruding through the back, through that big bone. I'm doing the skull and the neck is sitting within. Very long, very beautiful neck. Now back to the masters. Let's have a look at the fabulous Leonardo da Vinci. He done whole structure here, pointing all those connections, parallels and lines, helping us to identify positioning of the ears, positioning of the eyes, corners of the eyes, corners of the lips, position of cheekbone. It's a lot of formulas. We're going to continue. We're going to come back to our friend Leonardo da Vinci and constantly refer to him. We will learn from the genius, we will learn from the master. But now, a bit of homework for you. Please, please, please practice. I'm going to give you 2 images. You don't have to do them. Remember, you can download it on our website. Under the lesson, you'll have the images to practice with. I'm going to give you this just to remember the formulas, and I'm going to give you some notes within the class. But this is profile of the man, which we did full frontal before. If you forgot how you structured your full frontal face, come back to that one and do it again. It will be very, very helpful to reinforce all the knowledge we accumulated. So we're going to do this one, practice, and then one more. 2 sides, just not to make it too easy for you. If you can, it will be wonderful. Otherwise, ask your friend, your family member, anyone, or a photo to use it. Don't forget about the skull. And with the male structure, it's not as gentle and soft as when we did the Florentine portrait. Here, very clearly, we can identify that skull underneath. See how it follows here? Even though there is no bun, there is no massive hair, it's still the width. The width, remember, is the same as the height, from the bottom of the chin to the top of the head and across. So no chopping off the skull, very important. Enjoy, and we'll see you next week.